Located in a valley in the Diablo Range foothills on the east side of San Jose, this 720-acre park follows Penitentiary Creek and has quite the history. An early visitor mistook the whitish crust on the rocks here as alum. It is actually sulfate, but the name stuck and we now know this place as Alum Rock. This is an old photograph of the actual Alum Rock. There was a large black rock that was thought to have been a meteorite, but that also didn't pan out. Eventually people went crazy over the mineral springs in this area. From 1890 to 1932, the park was well known as a health spa featuring warm mineral baths that were said to help with different ailments. Some would soak in the waters and some believed in drinking it. So many in fact they quickly erected a gazebo with a fountain where people could come fill up jugs and canteens. For the people who wanted to soak in this highly mineralized water, they built a luxury bathhouse. It was called the Natatorium. It had private baths and an indoor pool complete with slides. It was nicknamed the Plunge. Adjacent to the fountain and gazebo and the Natatorium were a few other hotels with copper-lined tubs for soaking, a penny arcade, a Japanese tea house, a bandstand, a cafe, and even a zoo that had 77 animals. There were gardens and landscape paths between the attractions. Aside from the zoo, there was a stand-alone ostrich farm, and an impressive aviary to view birds of all kinds. There was a wading pond with a fountain and also a couple elaborate playgrounds for the kiddos. The picnic areas were fairly large, and you could expect to find Bay Area company picnics and school field trips. This was definitely the place for large groups of all kinds to gather. To help with the influx of visitors, the city put in a railroad and trolleys to transport people to the park more efficiently. At its height of popularity, Alum Rock Park could expect 10,000 visitors on any Sunday. There are a few strange things reported here at this oldest California city park. I sum it up to folklore, and I'm just going to report what I have read concerning this unique place. You can be the judge. Thelma and Doris Bernal were the rarest of things. Albino twins. Nobody knows why they turned evil, but this is their story. They were born in 1899. Their father was a gypsy of sorts who trained his daughters in pickpocketing, sly booting, magic, and lawyering. Eventually, they developed a taste for evil and the acumen to follow through with it. In 1921, they purchased a small book of incantations and wild gibberings from a used book dealer. Some of the spells required animal sacrifice and loud noises. So the sisters decided to move to Alum Rock Park, where they could practice their craft in relative solitude. Some say there was an existing enclave of albinos in the upper reaches of the canyon. Whether the sisters took up with the existing albinos or stuck it out on their own is unknown. It is believed that they lured polished tourists to their death by playing polkas in a suggestive manner. When the tourists came towards the sisters, they were ambushed and devoured. Little else is known of their life. Some say they were responsible for many missing persons and animals around San Jose. Poodles in particular seem to be targeted, perhaps for the meat, or perhaps a sacrifice to their pagan gods. There are many tales of the other albinos in this park also if you feel like going down this rabbit hole further on your own. Another interesting piece of folklore from Alum Rock Park are the many reported nightmares that are experienced and reported by hikers and backpackers in the park. Many of these reports are of hikers and backpackers having chronic nightmares as if something is trying to enter their dreams after hiking the trails. Each have consistently said their nightmare is that they are back in the park and on a trail by themselves at night. Each felt a dark spirit following behind them as they frantically tried to get out of the park. So there's that. Anyone that has visited felt creeped out or have nightmares about it? Comment below. And let's end this wild video with a little more recent news of the park. Over time, the popularity of Alum Rock Park took a toll on the native plants, animals, and habitats. In the 1970s, the city decided to turn the park into a more natural state. They removed the old dilapidated buildings that had fallen into disrepair, even the remains of the zoo and railroad. There are still 21 natural springs left at Alum Rock Park and is still an interesting place to visit as some of the ruins can still be located and explored. I visited recently and a fair chunk of the park was under construction and renovations, even installing new bathrooms. I'm sure by now it is once again a fun place to visit. Comment below if you have been to the historic and awe-inspiring Alum Rock Park. Happy trails!